Silence, all stand and remain standing until the conclusion of the reading of the proclamation. Ladies and gentlemen, the proclamation. All persons having any business before this honorable court, please draw nigh, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Admission of lawyers. Amy Elizabeth Armstrong.
May it please the court, I move that Amy Elizabeth Armstrong be admitted as a lawyer of this honorable court.
Let Amy Elizabeth Armstrong be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Claire Jean Ashley.
May it please the court, I move that Claire Jean Ashley be admitted as a lawyer of this honorable court.
Let Claire Jean Ashley be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Chiara Gabriella Ordino.
May it please the court, I move that Chiara Gabriella Ordino be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Chiara Gabriella Ordino be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Josie Ann Beisel.
May it please the court, I move that Josie Ann Beisel be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Josie Ann Beisel be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amanda Lynn Bingham.
May it please the court, I move that Amanda Lynn Bingham be admitted as a lawyer of this honorable court.
Let Amanda Lynn Bingham be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Laura Jade Boshier Eggins.
May it please the court, I move that Laura Jade Bashir Eggins be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Laura Jade Bashir Eggins be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Paris Eileen Narelle Busby.
May it please the court, I move that Paris Eileen Nerel Busby be admitted as a lawyer of this honorable court.
Let Paris Eileen Narelle Busby be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Angela Kakamo.
May it please the court, I move that Angela Kakamo be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Angela Kakamo be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Edna Yi Hong Chu.
May it please the court, I move that Edna Yi Hong Chu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Edna Yi Hong Chu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Xin Yi Duan.
May it please the court, I move that Xin Yi Duan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Xin Yi Zhan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Timothy Thomas Edmeades.
May it please the court, I move that Timothy Thomas Edmeades be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Timothy Thomas Edmeades be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Luke Fachin.
May it please the court, I move that Luke Fachin be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Luke Fachin be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Angelica Ruth Fazio.
May it please the court, I move that Angelica Ruth Fazio be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Angelica Ruth Fazio be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amanda Jane Forbes.
May it please the court, I move that Amanda Jane Forbes be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Amanda Jane Forbes be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Claire Susanna Foster.
May it please the court, I move that Claire Susanna Foster be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Claire Susanna Foster be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jonathan James Glenartsis.
May it please the court, I move that my son, Jonathan James Glenapsis, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jonathan James Glenapsis be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Emma Catherine Ann Gooden.
May it please the court, I move that my sister Emma Catherine Ann Gooden be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Emma Catherine Ann Gooden be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ivana Ilievsky.
May it please the court, I move that Ivana Ilevsky be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ivana Ilievsky be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Samuel Christopher Jackson.
May it please the court, I move that Samuel Christopher Jackson be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Samuel Christopher Jackson be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Yichi Jiang.
May it please the court, I move that Yi Chi Jiang be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Yi Chi Jiang be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Madeline Maria Lawrence.
May it please the court, I move that Madeline Maria Lawrence be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Madeline Maria Lawrence be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Hannah Ann Little.
May it please the court, I move that Hannah Ann Little be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Hannah Ann Little be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Eloise Rachel Matthews.
May it please the court, I move that Eloise Rachel Matthews be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Eloise Rachel Matthews be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Andrew Henry Minnie.
May it please the court, I move that Andrew Henry Minnie be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Andrew Henry Minnie be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Palwasha Nawabi.
May it please the court, I move that Palwasha Nawabi be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Palwasha Nawabi be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Pulkit Popley.
May it please the court, I move that Pulkit Popley be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Pulkit Popley be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Gavin Stewart Quayle.
May it please the court, I move that Gavin Stewart Quayle be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Gavin Stewart Quayle be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Matthew McDonald Riordan.
May it please the court, I move that Matthew MacDonald Riordan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Matthew MacDonald Riordan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Karina Romanova.
May it please the court, I move that Karina Romanova be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Karina Romanova be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
India Susan Salerno.
May it please the court, I move that India Susan Salerno be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let India Susan Salerno be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amanda Priya Shaloo.
May it please the court, I move that Amanda Priya Shaloo be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Amanda Priya Shaloo be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Elizabeth Shaw.
May it please the court, I move that Elizabeth Shaw, my daughter, be admitted as a lawyer of the honourable court.
Let Elizabeth Shaw be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Raminda Pal Singh.
May it please the court, I move that Raminda Pal Singh be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Raminda Pal Singh be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Amit Kaushal Singh.
May it please the court, I move that Amit Kaushal Singh be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Amit Kaushal Singh be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Natalie Yingwen So.
May it please the court, I move that Natalie Yingwen So be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Natalie Yingwen So be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Casey Lee Symes.
May it please the court, I move that Casey Lee Syme be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Casey Lee Syme be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Anika Talukta.
May it please the court, I move that my colleague Anika Talukta be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Anika Talukta be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Raifang Tantai.
May it please the court, I move that Raifang Tantai be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Raifang Tantai be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alexander Kinpang Tong.
May it please the court, I move that Alexander Kin Pang Tong be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Alexander Kin Pang Tong be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Carly Lisa Torrecampo.
May it please the court, I move that Carly Lisa Torrecampo be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Carly Lisa Torrecampo be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
James Elijah Patrick Webb.
May it please the court, I move that my son, James Elijah Patrick Webb, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let James Elijah Patrick Webb be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Colin James Werner.
May it please the court, I move that Colin James Werner be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Colin James Werner be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Megan Ethel Georgina Winfield.
May it please the court, I move that
My daughter, Megan Ethel Georgina Winfield, be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Megan Ethel Georgina Winfield be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Kuan Yu Zhu.
May it please the court, I move that Kuan Yu Zhu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Kuan Yu Zhu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Matthew Carl Zapier.
May it please the court, I move that Matthew Carl Zapier be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
That Matthew Carl Zapier be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It will now be necessary for those applicants whose admission has just been moved to stand and remain standing as directed for the purpose of swearing an oath or making a declaration or affirmation. So please stand as directed by Mr. Banks.
The first two rows to my right, please stand. Amy Elizabeth Armstrong, Claire Jean Ashley, Chiara Gabriella Ordino, Josie Ann Bisel, Amanda Lynn Bingham, Laura Jade Boshi Eggins, Paris Eileen Narelle Busby, Angela Kakamo, Edna Yihong Chu, Xinyi Duan, Timothy Thomas Edmeades, Luke Fachin, Angelica Ruth Fazio, Amanda Jane Forbes, Claire Susanna Foster, Jonathan James Glenatsis. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Please say together either "so help me God" or "I do."
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. Third and fourth row to my right, please stand. Emma Catherine Ann Gooden, Ivana Ilievsky, Samuel Christopher Jackson, Yichi Jiang, Madeline Maria Lawrence, Hannah Ann Little, Eloise Rachel Matthews, Andrew Henry Minnie, Palwasha Nawabi, Pulkit Popley, Gavin Stewart Quayle, Matthew McDonald Riordan, Karina Romanova, India Susan Salerno, Amanda Priya Shaloo, Elizabeth Shaw, Raminda Pal Singh, Amit Kaushal Singh. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Please say together either "so help me God" or "I do." Thank you. Please be seated. And first and second row to my left, please stand. Natalie Yinwen So, Casey Lee Syme, Annika Talukta, Raifang Tantai, Alexander Kinpang Tong, Carly Lisa Torrecampo, James Elijah Patrick Webb, Colin James Werner, Megan Ethel Georgina Winfield, Kuan Yu Zhu, Matthew Carl Zapier. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Please say together either "so help me God" or "I do."
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Well, may I warmly welcome you all to the Banco Court, our ceremonial court of the Supreme Court of New South Wales. Present with me on the bench today, to my right, Justice Ball, a member of the Equity Division of the court, and to my left, Justice Yehia, a member of the Common Law Division of the court. Together we constitute the court that has, in the exercise of our jurisdiction, admitted you to practice this afternoon. We have done so sitting on land for which the Gadigal of the Eora Nation have cared and been custodians for thousands of years, and the court pays its respects to the Gadigal, their elders past and present, and extends those respects to all First Nations people. Well, to all the newly admitted lawyers today, welcome to the legal profession. Today is one for great celebration and a marking of great achievement. You've all worked, we know, extremely hard to get here. Countless late nights of study, obscure problem questions, staring at screens or reading wafer-thin pages of textbook and more cases than you can hope or bear to remember. And for most of you, your journey has involved 2 extraordinarily challenging final years affected by the pandemic, and in which you have probably been deprived of many of the opportunities for the forging of close bonds with your peers that those years usually present. So you have faced and come through an additional adversity unprecedented in our lifetimes. But that makes your achievement today all the more impressive, and the resilience that you will have developed will stand you well into the future. In being admitted as a lawyer of this court, you join an honourable and ancient profession with the custom of advocates swearing an oath on admission to practice dating back as far as the 12th century. This court first admitted lawyers almost 200 years ago in 1824, and by 1830 the names of newly admitted lawyers were entered onto the rolls in this state, as you will do immediately after this ceremony. I'm pleased also to be able to welcome to the court today, and those watching on the live stream, many of your friends, family and supporters. For many of you I know their support will have been invaluable on your journey to date. No doubt they've been on the receiving end of your finely polished or developing skills of argument and persuasion, and I encourage you to take time to thank them all for their patience and perseverance. Depending on how good an advocate you have become, you might even convince them to shout you a drink or dinner after this ceremony. The law, as we know, touches every part of our society, and it can and will lead you all in many different directions and career paths. But in whatever direction you head, you must always remember that the oath or affirmation that you have just made is a serious one and deserves solemn regard, whether you work in private practice, at the bar, in a community legal centre, for legal aid, for a Crown Law Office, a government department or agency, or indeed in an entirely different field. You should be known for your honesty, your integrity and your commitment to justice, and must strive at all times to uphold these cardinal values. Admission as a member to the legal profession in New South Wales is a privilege. It is not a right. It's in acknowledgement of these weighty responsibilities that we observe today's unique formalities, including the fact that your admission has been moved by someone who is already an established member of the profession, and by the fact that you have made a formal oath or affirmation in the presence of your family and peers. They, as are we, are all witnesses to the promises and undertakings you have made this afternoon. Now, as to formality, you will see from some of the portraits around the court that we are wearing the same robes, in some cases literally, as have been worn by our predecessors. Symbolically, that highlights the continuity of the rule of law in New South Wales, although the judges wearing the robes are now drawn from an increasingly diverse pool. As to continuity of the rule of law, in a world in which there is much global uncertainty and insecurity, the rule of law is more important than ever. It is not simply a phrase of some abstract academic or theoretical import. The rule of law means the opposite of arbitrary abuse of power and the rule of autocratic dictators and populists. We know that there is nothing theoretical about these phenomena. Although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. The pandemic, for example, meant a rapid shift to increased use of virtual courtroom technology. It was critical to ensure that access to justice continued and the courts remained open in the midst of the pandemic, whilst not sacrificing notions of open justice, effective communication and fairness to participants. And technology has delivered greater workplace flexibility, especially important for lawyers with family responsibilities, but also the use of technology has profound implications for the reach of justice, the public access to the workings of the court, and also the ability to participate remotely for those in rural or remote areas or otherwise unable because of disability or health to come to court. Although the increased use of technology has offered a number of advantages, the practice of the law remains as having human nature and human interaction at its core. And an essential part of being a good lawyer is understanding people, how others react to different situations, perform under pressure, and deal with each other. And it's for those reasons that I said in my swearing-in speech as Chief Justice in March of this year that whilst the remote practice of the law may be possible, it is far from desirable. There are, of course, other changes that deserve attention, in addition to those brought about by the pandemic. When we think of the diversity, for example, of the legal profession, we encounter the duality that we have come a long way, particularly in terms of gender, but on the other hand, that much still needs to be done. For example, although women, it seems extraordinary to us today, but for centuries were not permitted to practice law at all and only achieved that right in the last century. Since 2018, women have made up more than half of all solicitors with a practising certificate in New South Wales and currently make up about 2/3 of solicitors under the age of 30. And women occupy many of the most senior positions in the law in Australia, including Chief Justice of the High Court, Chief Justices of Victoria, Queensland and the ACT, our President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Ward, who was formerly the Chief Judge in Equity, and the current Commonwealth and State Directors of Public Prosecution and the Senior Public Defender in New South Wales are all women. So there have been great strides made towards much improved gender balance in the profession. But there should also be strong representation of lawyers from the many different backgrounds which comprise our cosmopolitan community in New South Wales and Australia. Diverse representation amongst solicitors, advocates and judges assists in ensuring that all people who become involved in our justice system, whether voluntarily or not, can and feel that they can be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of our broader community. That is important for engendering trust in our system of trust in and respect for our system of justice. The admissions ceremonies on which I have sat since becoming a judge almost 4 years ago, including this ceremony, highlight that there is a far greater diversity of background amongst junior lawyers than when I commenced practice about 30 years ago. That's a very good thing, and leaders of the profession and the courts are working hard to foster inclusiveness and diversity. You, the newly admitted lawyers today, enter the profession at a time when, more than ever, your words and actions are having an impact for good. You are being heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unfair laws, systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable or unsustainable working cultures, sexual harassment or bullying. You should speak up for the things that matter and in which you believe. That is one of the great traditions of being a lawyer. I also urge you to engage with your communities outside your immediate jobs. Your training as a lawyer in systematic thought, the importance of matters of principle and fundamental fairness, including due process and natural justice, equip you very well for service beyond the day-to-day practice of the law and an ability to contribute in the wider community. You will also derive great satisfaction from any such engagement. Now, turning from opportunities to obligations and a little bit of friendly advice. As a lawyer, you'll often need to make ethical decisions which are difficult, sometimes extremely difficult. You must use the tools you have developed to think critically and not compromise on your fundamental duties to the court or the administration of justice when confronting ethical challenges. One mistake which you must not make is to give your clients the advice that you think they want to hear. I can tell you that that will almost invariably not be good advice. Justice Gageler, before elevated to the High Court, said, and I quote, you must be prepared to give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question or for what purpose or in what context the asking may occur. That is, as one might expect from Justice Gagler, very good advice indeed. Being a lawyer means that you are an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember that you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum. You're not dealing with it in a vacuum at all, but the law as it applies to people's lives. An individual in need of your services as a lawyer will often be an individual facing some kind of great personal challenge or crisis affecting his or her liberty, property, personal well-being, or health or financial position. For these reasons, you must always strive to deliver legal services sensitively, competently and fearlessly, yes, but always with courtesy and integrity. And in this context, I would urge upon you the importance of the notion of civility. Aspects of the law, especially if you are involved in litigation, are confrontational. That is the nature of the beast. But the practice of law can be stressful and demanding enough without injecting personal animus and antagonism between practitioners into the mix. It's essential that you maintain your detachment, balance, and good humour, remembering at all times that you are members of a profession and not a business. And remember this, the best advocates can and do make their points succinctly, simply and succinctly. Often, less is more. Some of the most experienced lawyers and judges could use that reminder from time to time. I don't exclude myself in that. For a non-lawyer, law is often remote and incomprehensible, and one of your real challenges and roles as a lawyer will be to make the law accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, other times by deciphering poor legal drafting, sometimes both. Strive to be clear and concise at all times in both your writing and speaking, and you'll become very good and valued lawyers. At various points in your career, you'll make mistakes, some minor, some more serious. We all make mistakes from time to time, especially when starting out on something new. What is important is that you don't make the same mistake twice, and if you do make a mistake, that your commitment to honesty and integrity in the administration of justice means that you take responsibility or ownership for that mistake, correct what you can, and learn from any error. I want to stress this as well, an increasingly important point to recognise in the practice of the law. Your physical and mental health are both extremely important. There may, and I dare say, will be times when you feel overwhelmed, burnt out, or distressed. Legal practice can be all-consuming and physically and mentally demanding. Now, that's often because lawyers want to go the extra mile for their client. They want to work out what the result is. They want to get to the right result. They want to assist their client and burn the midnight oil in doing so. That is all admirable. But bear in mind, you need to look after yourself and you also must work hard to keep a balance and keep your eye out to ensure that your colleagues do as well. If you do get overwhelmed by it all, as frankly we all have and continue to do so from time to time, try and take a step back and recapture some perspective, or suggest gently to your colleagues who you think might be out of whack that they do so as well. In this context, you should know that the law, the legal profession as practiced in New South Wales, is a highly collegiate one, and in times of difficulty the support and friendship of your peers will prove invaluable. We have a very good law society and a very good bar association, the two institutional bodies which support the profession and keep a strong eye out for young lawyers. So take advantage of what those bodies have to offer. Now, may I say this to you all in closing? The law is a wonderful profession. It's stimulating, it's challenging, and it's satisfying. And it's populated by intelligent, committed, and dynamic people such as yourselves. You should be proud to be a lawyer and of your achievements to date, and you should remain proud to be a lawyer. It is a very important profession for a healthy democratic society, and you are now a very important part of that profession. So hold your heads high and the very best of luck for the exciting journey that lies ahead. On behalf of Justice Ball, Justice Yehia, and all of our colleagues on the Supreme Court, I once again congratulate you all on your admission to the profession and welcome you to it. The court will now adjourn.
All stand. This honourable court is now adjourned. God save the Queen.